Hi there, my name is Zameer Nazarali and I'm the CEO and founder of the Simplified Group. Today I just wanted to share my journey into the legal field and how I overcame some of the obstacles that come up typically for a lot of people. So my journey really began at City University Islington, where I read the law and completed my degree in 2003. However, I really struggled to nail down a training contract that I wanted to do, which is not unusual back then or even now, even more difficult. I thought at that time, let me try and move on to the LPC, the legal practice course. And so I went to the College of Law as it was known then, and studied and completed it successfully. However, unfortunately, that didn't really help in terms of securing a training contract. But I didn't want that to define my legal career, and I didn't want that to be the roadblock that diverted me into something else, as I was really passionate about qualifying as a lawyer. So I began my journey as a legal consultant. I started with a job at a boutique music publishing firm where I had interned a couple of years before, and they were really impressed with my attitude and sort of my work ethic. I worked alongside the retained employment lawyers there to really get a knowledge and understanding of how employment law and HR works within a business. And soon enough, I managed to replace them as the go-to person in the business to advise the directors and especially the chairman. However, it was a family-run firm, and you know things progressed, and I managed to put into place a lot of systems and processes, but then outgrew the role and I really needed something else to get my teeth into. It was during this time that I transformed from being a theoretical lawyer who understood the law and the structure that came with it to being able to apply the law to a business situation, which was absolutely fundamental. Because knowing the checklist and the process and knowing actually how it's going to play out is two different things. I then found that I really wanted to be more client-facing, and so I searched for an opportunity to take on a consultancy role that would give me that challenge, because I felt that was the next point in my development. So I moved on to the RBS group, into the corporate world, so a totally different scene from the SME world, and a different challenge as well. There I became an employee relations consultant, so an ER consultant. And my role was, to deep dive in with clients. I was the leading advisor there, and I would guide them through, the whole range of employee issues they would face. But more importantly, I would be the one who would run processes and actually be at the forefront of the issue. The 4.5 years I spent in this role really brought to life how to become a business savvy and practical advisor. So not just understanding the law and interpreting the law and then bringing that to the client's attention, but being able to translate that into a strategy that would affect their business in a positive way, which was absolutely crucial. So that's another tip I would share. Always bring to life the law that you're advising on. It's not just about translating what's in the books and giving it to a client, but it's making it relevant for them. Absolutely crucial. And on that point, I decided that I really wanted to go out alone. I felt that I really wanted to transform the way I advise to another level. And so in 2013, the concept of going out and running my own business was born in my mind, and the brand that is now Simplify ER came to life. And the values that I wanted to push through that brand were not just providing superb and technical advice to clients, but actually making it relevant, being business savvy, getting how they saw their business and how the law would take them to that objective that they were trying to seek. So I started putting together my consultancy, and that was the first step in a fantastic 7 years that has followed. Since then, we've then expanded our group. So we've got Simplify ER, which is an HR and employment law outsourced consultancy service. So taking care of our clients' day-to-day employee issues. But our driving mantra and our force that really motivates us is helping transform workplaces into truly engaged units so that they, in effect, really help the business and the brand find fantastic success. It's all about teamwork, and so that is our driving force. We have also this year, just before the pandemic, launched our Legals brand, which is a commercial and company law business advisory service. And what we do there is, in a non-regulated way, we bring to life commercial and corporate law for businesses, whether it's drafting terms and conditions or dealing with difficult situations that a business may face in a legal aspect. We try and create a layman approach, but also try again to keep it relevant for the business owner. As you can imagine, during the pandemic and lockdown period in particular, HR and employment law have really come to the fore. From trying to interpret the job retention scheme to implementing the furlough scheme, it's been a real challenge, and we've had to sort of be very quick on our feet. But again, always going back to our reason for being, we've had to translate that into our clients' business and make it relevant on how they can best use these tools to survive. But where we've really excelled and where our clients have excelled is that we've tried to push our clients to look further. So it's not just about the lockdown period, because those businesses that want to survive and evolve in this unprecedented situation are the ones that have to rise up to the challenges they're facing and transform themselves to be a viable solution going forward. So the two main challenges that businesses have found, especially during this pandemic period, but which should have really been on the forefront of their minds in any case, are these. Firstly, it's looking at your team structure and what your people agenda is. Many people recruit because they feel there's a gap and a demand and work needs to be done. But actually, your entire process should be attracting talent who can add value to your business. So now obviously companies have had time to assess what they actually want to do. What is their ideal team and how do we restructure accordingly? It might be, unfortunately, redundancies, especially for those businesses that are trying to survive. But it might also be upskilling and investing in your people. So that's a huge challenge, but obviously that's going to put businesses in good stead going forward. The second one is one that I'm very passionate about personally, and that's employee engagement. The work from home and remote working situation that was thrust upon businesses was so difficult to manage because a lot of businesses weren't ready, not just in terms of their equipment and their technological know-how, but also in terms of the way the managers' mindsets and the leaders' mindsets in those business work. So employee engagement is not just about, giving an employee a quick phone call and seeing how they're doing. It's much more than that. It's a mindset that a leader has to adopt. It's a mindset that a leader has to embrace and then implement into everything they do. So it's into their people strategies, it's into their communications, it's into the way they performance manage people. It's into the way that they deal with people as a whole, giving instructions and training. It's the whole wide spectrum of sort of throwing yourself deep, diving into that relationship with your employee and taking responsibility not only for their performance, but also for their development. And now we're starting to see an unlocking of the economy and a slow return to some sort of normality. Those challenges are still very real. The companies that have been able to embrace technology and sort of keep in touch with their employees and stay visible and start building those communication channels will be the ones that thrive now, because honestly speaking, work from home and remote working was actually forced because of the situation around, but you couldn't really judge your employees in this scenario because they weren't just dealing with work. They were dealing with, looking after their kids, looking after their vulnerable members of their family. Mentally and emotionally hearing about the tragedies going on, the numbers rising in terms of infection rates and deaths, which is a lot to take on. It was everywhere. So employees couldn't really be judged for their performance during this time, and obviously, trying to use this as a foundation from the remote working policy that the company might be adopting, because it wasn't truly a reflection of what home working or remote working would look like. The other big challenge now is that as employees come back, they come back with a lot of battle scars. They've been locked away, not being able to see loved ones, or dealing with home learning for their children, or having maybe gone through the virus themselves. And there's going to be a lot of scars mentally and emotionally returning back to the workplace. So now more than ever, the biggest challenge is sort of ensuring that employees' well-being is front and center, whilst also trying to balance business recovery. And one can overtake the other inadvertently. So it's really, really important those two things are seen in parallel. And so, knowing all of these situations that are going on, how does a business start creating the early steps towards true employee engagement? So here's a few tips that I thought I could share. Number one, as I've mentioned earlier, it's all about the mindset. Leaders in the business have to behave like leaders, not just managers, not just letting things tick along, but actually getting involved and being proactive in leading their teams. Because there's nothing that can replace visibility and leading by example. The second thing is communication. So really understanding how your employees tick, what makes them tick, and what motivates them, and communicating the right level of instruction and brand values. It's really essential that employees understand what your business stands for and what you're trying to achieve and the way in which you want to achieve it. Because if you start sharing that message out there, you will not only motivate the employees with you, but you'll start attracting the right people to your business. The third area is embracing the tools of technology that can bring it all to life. Now, as I said, it was very hard to assess whether remote working worked for every business because of the challenges that those employees were facing. But now on reflection, it's looking at whether you can become more efficient by embracing technology and maybe implementing a remote working policy. It might save you office space and rents that come with that. It might save travel times and frustrations that are associated with journeys into work, for example. But having the right tools is so crucial in not only being visible, but also enhancing your communication. So it brings it all together. The final thing I'd love to share is for all the budding law students out there. So, you've faced some really challenging times. Maybe you're approaching your final year exams or your LPC exams, and it must have been extremely tough it's already difficult to face those challenges, but in lockdown remotely and away from your colleagues, your peers, your lecturers, it must have been even more difficult. So hats off and well done. What I'd say in terms of the current economy and as you sort of pursue your legal career is don't give up. Find your area that you really enjoy and throw yourself into that. And be innovative. Don't just stop at, trying to get a training contract and not being able to get it and sort of lose motivation in your career. As I said, my journey into law was quite different to the typical traditional route. When I started my business, I actually found out that I was eligible to apply to the Chartered Institute of Legal Executives to become a fellow, which would qualify me. And that was because I had achieved a number of years of great work placement experience, and I'd worked under supervising solicitors. So after I'd started my business, initially I thought my dream of qualifying might actually be null and void because I wasn't actually going to work for anyone and supervise. But I then found out that there was another route into the legal industry, and the institution that is SILACs are phenomenal at motivating and giving innovative ways for lawyers to qualify and sort of enter the legal field. But from there, I then found out I had the opportunity to dual qualify. So I applied to the SRA to become a solicitor, which was always my dream. And now, fortunately, I'm very blessed to hold a dual qualification as a fellow of SILACs and a solicitor under the SRA. So I'd say, look, it took me a bit of time to get there, but I never gave up, and I'd say keep persevering. And if that's what you want to do, go for it. Don't let anyone stop you, and don't let any obstruction get in your way, because you can do it and you don't have to be traditional about it.